You've got a house that needs more work than HGTV can provide. You're thinking about selling, but everybody's telling you it's going to cost months and tens of thousands of dollars to repair. Well, here's the truth. Yes, you can sell the house in 7 days, even if it needs major repairs, even if you haven't cleaned it out yet, even if you owe on the mortgage, even if you're behind on payments. I've seen sellers go from stressed and overwhelmed to sold and paid in under a week. And today I'm going to show you step by step exactly how it works behind the scenes. Here's what Shannon Loki, one of the top escrow officers in DFW that's been in the business for 20 years, said when asked, can you close a house in 7 days?
Yes, it absolutely is possible, and I've definitely done it plenty of times over, the length of my career.
Here's what she said when asked, what really happens behind the scenes? Let's say somebody accepts a cash offer, they submit agreement to the title company. What happens next?
So once we receive the executed contract, we immediately reach out to both sides and start information gathering. So especially for the seller, we'll reach out and have them fill out an information sheet that provides us with, their names, their socials, date of birth, loan information for any mortgages, HOA information, and then we also ask about their current marital status and if that's changed from the time they purchased the property to the current time. So that way we can determine whether, there's a divorce that we're going to need to review, or if somebody has passed away, in which case we would need to see if there's a probate available, or if we need to do what's called an heirship affidavit to transfer interest on. And so that beginning communication is key to a quick closing.
What's the one thing that can blow up a closing that nobody ever talks about?
Lack of communication, to be honest. I mean, if we reach out and we request information and they, don't particularly want to give some of the information that's requested, or if, some information is left out, that can definitely, cause some delays. When we request information, it's not because we want to dig in anybody's personal lives. It's because that will help us to, get ahead of any issues and make sure that everything's cleared and prepared to close in the time frame allotted.
Does having a relationship with the escrow officer allow you to bump your file ahead of the line?
A relationship does help, I would say, but I also have, out of my 20 plus years of experience, over 10 of them have been related to investor transactions. And that's not only because, I like building investor relationships and helping to watch, you grow as individuals and as your companies and whatnot, but I also very much am in it to help the sellers themselves, because, we're all people at the end of the day. We all have hardships. We all have points in our lives that we look around and it's like, well, how did I get here? What do I do now? And I feel that there are a lot of title companies and escrow officers that just don't want to, get their hands dirty per se. They don't want to have to dig into and work on the harder projects. And, somebody has to. And so that's one of the things that's one of the reasons that I've done it as long as I have, is because I like to help the sellers. And so even if it is somebody that's just calling off the street, if it's an emergent situation where they need help, I'm going to do whatever I can to help them.
If you're trying to sell your house fast, even if it's in bad shape, here's what you need to do. Step 1, get a cash offer. You can do this by contacting your local real estate investors. You're probably already getting a bunch of calls. Talk to a minimum of 3 investors. If you haven't been contacted by any investors, where you can find investors is posting your house on Facebook Marketplace, joining real estate investor groups in Facebook, posting your house there. You're going to find a bunch of investors, and you can always post on Craigslist. Another way to find investors, and maybe the most safe way, is contacting a realtor. Most likely your local realtor is going to know investors that would like to purchase the home. The benefit of going through a realtor is they can vet the buyers and make sure they're not scammers. Flip side is you will have to pay realtor fees. Provide the address, the condition of the property, share if there's any debts owed against the property, and get some pictures. You should be able to get an offer in 24 to 48 hours. Step 2, open escrow. Just like Shannon Loki said, she's going to be working on it behind the scenes. I'm going to drop her information below if you want to specifically use her. I highly recommend it. You don't need to fix anything on the property. The only thing you need to do in order to ensure the smooth closing is hand in all the paperwork the escrow officer asks you. If you can, hand it all in the first day so they can work on your file behind the scenes as fast as possible. Step 3, close on the property. Once title is clear, you can close on the property. The thing that's going to make this as fast as possible is you want an investor that's a cash buyer. If an investor is using a lender, it might take them more than 7 days to get the money ready to close on the property. A cash buyer should be ready right there and then. Another thing that's going to hold you back is your paperwork. Send in your paperwork, the longer it's going to take the escrow officer to close on the property. Lastly, when the funds are ready, I recommend you get a wire, because a wire is usually sent within 1 to 2 hours, usually same day. If you opt for a check, you can get it same day if you physically go to the title company, or they can mail it to you overnight. The thing about a check, the bank may hold that money. I've seen them hold it for up to 11 days. Just because perhaps they've never seen such a large amount of money go into your account, or they just have to verify that the check is legitimate. This happens even if the check is written for that specific bank. Here's my final thoughts. Selling a house should not take months. If your home needs work or you just need a clean exit, you don't have to fix a thing. You just need to know the process and trust the team that's helping you. That's why I highly recommend getting 3 different bids for investors and checking out their Google reviews and seeing if they're a legitimate company to work with. Selling a house fast doesn't have to be too good to be true. You just have to know the right people.